this video, I'm going to talk about 10 things you should keep in mind as you're writing essays for college applications and scholarship applications. So let's go and get started. The first one is kind of obvious, but just remember to follow a prompt, because when you are writing a lot of essays especially, sometimes it's easy to just get into the old spiel of like the same topic, or to copy and paste an old essay if it's kind of similar, but make sure that your essay directly matches the prompt and doesn't just skirt around the answer. Number two, make sure whatever topic you choose tells something new about you. I've heard oftentimes for the Common App essay, you don't necessarily elaborate on an activity. Doesn't mean you can't talk about your experience with an activity or an extracurricular, but don't necessarily tell your admissions officers more about it. They want to hear something new about you, something about your character, what motivates you, what you're passionate about. This is their chance to get to know more about you as an applicant, and so in order to allow yourself shine, let the wonderful person you are and your personality come through, and tell them a different piece of the application than they've already seen. But that goes right into line with my third thing, is make sure that your unique voice shines through, which is kind of an intimidating thing to hear, but basically try to make your personality come through. If you're funny, you can be funny in your essays. If you're casual, you can be more casual in your essays. Your goal is not to use a thesaurus or a dictionary when you're writing them. I mean, if you talk that way naturally, maybe you could, but generally try to just make your essays sound like you. If they were to interview you with that same prompt, they'd receive a similar answer. All right, the next 6 things in this video are gonna really talk about the actual process and what should be in your essay. First off, number 4 is make sure you have a hook, something that grabs the reader's attention, pulls them in. Maybe you pull them right into the middle of your story, or you have a quote starting off, something that surprises them, something that catches their attention. That way they are immediately invested into your essay. And right along with that, number 5, make sure you have a strong, impactful conclusion that gives a sense of who you are, sums up your essay, and leaves the reader feeling somewhat inspired and feeling like they know you as a person better. Right, within your essay, number 6, make sure that you show readers what you've done, what you're interested in, not tell them. For example, instead of saying, "I love blank," you can talk about how many hours you spent doing this activity, how many extra meetings you have organized in this activity, instead of just stating how much you enjoy it. Generally, especially with emotions, it's better to show the emotions through what you did than just to tell them you felt this. But that goes for all things as well. Show, not tell. Number 7 is have a unique narration. And when I say that, I mean pick a topic that's somewhat unique to you, and tell it in a way that only you would be able to tell, which is also gonna sound kind of strange, but the topic can be something that anybody else would write on, like being on the school bus or something, but tell it differently. You need to give different insights than just maybe the average person would be. It doesn't mean that nobody else on the whole planet could have the same insights as you, but you just need to tell it in a different way that maybe the reader hasn't thought of before, and it's just abnormal. The 8th thing you should do in your essays is make sure you have a smooth flow. Make sure that the sentences you have transition from one to another very well. And this isn't usually too hard, especially the first couple essays you're writing, but as you begin copying and pasting and pulling other essays together, piecing them together, then it's easy for the transitions to not be as good, and for you to have a bunch of sentences that kind of are disconnected. So make sure you go back through and all of your sentences seamlessly transition. Number 9, this is kind of an obvious one, just go back and spell check, grammar check, because you don't want those errors in your applications. Oftentimes they will count against you, especially for scholarship applications. And the 10th and final thing that I've heard most admissions officers really talk about is reflection. Make sure you reflect in your essay. Maybe if you're telling a story, talking about an experience that you've had, always go back and talk about your thoughts on it, what you've learned from it, and how it's impacted you. Because maybe, yes, you've gone through this really horrible circumstance, but admissions officers don't necessarily want to know about your past. They want to know about how it's affecting you now and how it's going to be affecting you at that university. If you're talking about an example in your life, yes, you can talk about that example person, but you need to talk about how they have impacted you and how as a result you've been able to impact others, how this has changed your life as a result of their influence. Just always turning it back, and if you're giving a past example or whatever your essay topic is, talking about how it's influenced you today and how it's inspired you and your actions in the future. That reflection is so key for allowing admissions officers and people who are reviewing your scholarship applications to get to know you better, to get to know what makes you tick, and to know what you care about and what you think is important in your life. So those were the 10 tips that I have for you for completing your scholarship and college applications. Hopefully that they help you as you're going through the writing and outline stage, preparing those essays, even as you're editing them for this upcoming admissions and scholarships cycle. You can find a lot of other great tips on standardized tests or even other college application related things on my channel, so make sure you go check it out. This whole YouTube channel is part of my extracurriculars on my college applications, so I really appreciate it if you help me out by liking, subscribing, engaging, helping me pay for college. But anyway, good luck as you're writing all of these essays, and I'll see you again next time.